The president does not believe that the strongest case regarding the release of these photos was presented to the court based on his concern of what the release of these would do to our national security. The president reflected on this case and believes that they have the potential to pose harm to our troops. The president believes that the release of these photos will also provide a disincentive for detainee abuse investigation. The photos don't denote the existence of the investigations. They're simply part of the potential evidence in the cases that have been finished since 2004. But if in each of these instances somebody looking into detainee abuse takes evidentiary photos in a case that's eventually concluded, that this could provide a tremendous disincentive to take those photos and investigate that abuse.
Where's the disincentive?
The disincentive is in the notion that every time one of these photos is taken, that it's going to be released. That nothing is added by the release of the photo, right? The existence of the investigation is not increased because of the release of the photo. It's just to provide, in some ways, a sensationalistic portion of that investigation. I think if every time somebody took a picture of detainee abuse, if any time any of those pictures were mandatorily going to be necessarily released, despite the fact that they were being investigated, I think that would provide a disincentive to take those pictures and investigate. The argument that the president has asked his legal team to make is not an argument that the previous legal team made in that case. They argued a couple of different things, including a law enforcement exception, and the judge ruled that to seek a law enforcement exception, you have to disclose the name of the person whose harm would be derived for in seeking that exception. This is a different argument that the president thinks is compelling.
If that was such a compelling case, why was that not weighed in April then? Because it seems like, was there a failure here at the White House in the first go-round in April to fully weigh the national security implications?
The argument that the president seeks to make is one that hasn't been made before. There was significant legal momentum in these cases prior to the president entering into office. We are now at a point where it is likely that some stay will be asked to prevent the release of these photos. And I believe the date, I think we have until June 8th to appeal, to seek review of the decision by the Second Circuit.
But on April 24th, you also said, quote, the Department of Justice decided based on the ruling, the court ruling, that it was, quote, hopeless to appeal.
Right.
But now you're saying it's not hopeless.
Well, based on the argument that, yes, I said that it was hopeless based on the argument that was made during the course of the original FOIA lawsuit, the appeal, the three-judge ruling, and the decision that declined the full circuit to make that to make those determinations.
If you're saying basically that this could put troops in further harm's way in Iraq and Afghanistan, former Vice President Cheney, General Hayden, others have made the same argument about releasing the so-called torture memos. Do you have any regrets about putting those memos out? They've made the same argument about it.
Well, I'll use the example I've used on this before, Ed. You didn't begin to report on enhanced interrogation techniques at the release of the OLC memos, did you?
No.
Okay. I'm sensing. Hold on. I'm also sensing that the graphic that CNN uses to denote what happens when somebody gets waterboarded wasn't likely developed based on reading memos that were released 3 weeks ago. The president believes that the existence of the photos themselves doesn't actually add to the understanding that detainee abuse happened, was investigated, that actions were taken by those that did indeed or might have undertaken potential abuse of detainees, and that those cases were all dating back to finishing in 2004. The president doesn't believe the release of a photo surrounding that investigation does anything to illuminate the existence of that investigation, only to provide some portion of sensationality.
Robert, is that really his role to decide whether or not it illuminates? That's not the President of the United States' role to decide, well, this information will illuminate for the people and this information isn't.
No, the role of the President in this situation is as Commander-in-Chief. And if he determines that through the release of these photos that they pose a threat to those that serve to protect our freedom in Iraq and Afghanistan, through the illumination of whatever, he can make a determination to ask his legal team to go back to court and make a legal argument that he doesn't believe was made and provides the most salient case and most important points for not releasing these photos. Those determinations are indeed made by this president and are being made. Just put it on vibrate, man. We did this before.